Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. This is a special Monday edition of Toxically Masculine Tuesday. We're back to a power trio tonight because Steve Doran couldn't make it. My bad, Steve. Sorry you're not going to be here. But we do have the usual crew, the former crew, the former power trio. Starting with the man to my right, the guy who you cannot spend 4 hours in a car with without coming away smarter, Dr. Brooks Agnew, somewhere in the Carolinas. Brooks, I'm just drinking a little Dr. Pepper tonight. I'm still recovering from my hangover from Saturday. How are you doing? What are you drinking? How'd the house go today?
House went well. We're getting very, very close to our trades inspection. So plumbing, electrical, mechanical. Once we get through with that, it's Katie bar the door.
Cool. It looks great. I mean, I was there, last year about this time in June, I guess. And it looked.
Yeah, we didn't even have the house started then.
Well, you had a little bit. You had the garage and you had some of the.
Oh, the garage was there, but we hadn't even poured the foundation for the house yet.
So it looks great now in the pictures. And of course, joined by the third member of tonight's trio, the smartest man on TV's Blake Wally. Blake, how are you doing? And what's going on there in somewhere east of California where you live?
It's great to be here. It's great to be here. Also in Nashville, getting ready for the after party at the dance lounge behind me. So I'll be drinking a little Maker's 46.
Are people pretty sad that Tennessee got their butts kicked in the basketball tournament this week, or no? I can't imagine anybody caring about basketball, much less college basketball anymore. But was it a bummer there around Tennessee? Was there a lot of talk?
Probably not as bad as in Nashville, but I'm sure they were probably inconsolable in Knoxville, where they are huge fanatics over there for sure. So
yeah, my buddy Tom Reed lives there, and Tom. You guys love that Tom lives there in Knoxville. So
fun college time.
Yeah. He ordered Ivan from you yesterday, Brooks.
So, all right.
I'd like to give you something good, Shy Virgo, but I got nothing new that I can share with you that hasn't been shared by other people you should be paying attention to. Ruben Darren Mathusami. Ruben Darren, great to see you again. Good evening, Mike, Blake, and Brooks. Time for some masculine toxicity. You got to spread it there in the East, in India or Bangladesh. I forget which country you're in, but you got to spread it there, Ruben Darren. It's your job. Show the men how to be men over there. Hi, Robin Parker is here. Trump 120 is here. It is live. We're doing it live, but it will still be there tomorrow. Mr. Salvador Pacino, I have a question. Well, that's great. I can't answer it if you don't ask it, though. So there we are. Go Gators. Yeah, they're in the Final Four. And KG Smith, good evening to you too, guys. All right. Well, the reason we had to do this is because I'm going to a party tomorrow night with a friend who's coming in from LA. It's some snooty Hollywood film thing at Caesar's Palace. So I wasn't available. So I really appreciate you guys coming in and doing the show. Tonight, we're going to talk some news. I didn't want to cancel the entire show, so we're going to do it on Monday. And I will be on tomorrow at 1 Eastern with Michael Jaco talking some LifeWave X39 patches. I still haven't really felt a big difference, but I'm told that I will. I'm told that I will eventually feel the difference and feel good. So we're going to keep talking about that stuff. All right, let's get into the news such as it is. What did I do, gentlemen? What did I do with my Twitter? I lost it. There's a lot of things to talk about. There's obviously Doge and stuff like that. But what I wanted to do is actually start with a story that I think is actually pretty darn serious. A couple of days ago, Volodymyr Zelensky, who used to play a piano with his penis on Ukrainian television, said that Vladimir Putin wasn't going to be alive much longer. And then a day or two later, this happened in Moscow, which is that a limousine, which is attached apparently to the presidential detail, to Putin's detail, exploded on the streets in Moscow. So that happened, and I am sharing. Am I sharing? Yes, that happened. not cool. And everybody was a little bit unhappy about it, not the least of whom apparently is Putin, because he said Putin's limousine ablaze after mysterious explosion in Moscow. This is definitely, to me, an escalation. And then there was another video of apparently drone attacks on the Kremlin. Let's watch.
Oh, wow.
That, I think, is a camera artifact on the left. But let's watch it again. That looks like the U.S. Embassy. Maybe that's the U.S. Embassy in Moscow. Because that's an American flag right there. Is that even the Kremlin?
Doesn't look like it to me.
Check this out. Let's watch the beginning of it again. Yeah, that's like a U.S. building. But it looks like Russia. Could be Russia. I'm not sure where that is now that I think about it. Let's see. I mean, maybe I missed something in the caption. Russia reports that Ukraine tried to hit the Kremlin overnight on 2 unmanned aerial drones in an assassination attempt on Putin. Well, they're saying it is near the Kremlin or in range of the Kremlin. Brooks, I guess, again, you're a Ukrainian expert. If that is true, isn't this a rather radical escalation of the war? Aren't they trying to get Putin to get done with this, say screw peace, and really launch an offensive to take the rest of Ukraine?
Well, it's not really an escalation militarily, but when you try to assassinate the leader of your enemy, that's more an act of desperation. Truth is, I don't think Zelensky's going to be around much longer. He's a persona non grata.
Yeah. Well, okay, Brooks, if these are genuine attacks, though, I mean, isn't Russia almost, isn't it almost demanded of them that they retaliate in some way against Zelensky?
Yeah, but I mean, how do you escalate something like that? Do you do a targeted assassination attempt yourself? It's obvious that drone was launched from a local vehicle somewhere. There's no way it would have, something small like that would have traveled all the way from Ukraine to Russia. It had to be launched locally. So they're probably looking for the people using aerial surveillance, where that thing came from. They're going to track it down to the vehicle it came from, track those people down, and they'll be arrested in the next few hours.
Yeah, that seems kind of likely. I guess the next question is, of course, what they would do instantly, Blake, is if Putin fires back and gets Zelensky, then he's going to be a war criminal, right?
Yeah, then he'll be the bad guy. It'd be totally cool if, they take out Putin, everyone rejoices. They take out Zelensky, everybody's gonna freak. So yeah, and we don't need this kind of escalation.
What about the Simpsons episode that shows Trump in a coffin in the next few days?
Yeah, well, I've heard about that. I don't know. A lot of these Simpsons things turn out to not be true. Like the timing of them isn't exactly right. Peter says, my daughter is in Moscow right now. Well, update us on what's happening. Are there any drones flying around the Kremlin? What's going on there?
You should try the Grok. I'll go back to that tweet and hit Grok and see if it'll explain what's going on there. Sometimes it does a pretty good job.
Idea. That's a good idea. Let's do that.
Yeah, his daughter didn't get a visa from the United States to go to Moscow. Had to be from another country.
Let's go back and go to that. And where is my Grok? Okay. So okay. I'm not seeing a Grok.
Well, Grok's over on the left.
Yeah, if you go back to that tweet and then hit the little icon. Nope, not.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Yeah. Explain this post. Is this really near the Kremlin in Moscow, and is it recent? Okay, let's find out what Grok has to say about that.
Yeah, this is better than Google.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I assume you're asking about an image or location mentioned in a specific image or yeah. Okay. Okay, Grok, why can't you see it? It says, "Ask me about this post."
That looks like the Russian flag there in the Russian colors.
That's definitely the Russian flag on some grandstands there, but okay. Select a Kremlin image. No, okay. Well, we're not going to get anything out of Grok because Grok is dumber than we thought. So.
Yeah, it's not always great with pictures or just anything that
video,
has to see. Yeah, videos.
Yeah.
Worth a shot, though.
That's about it. Okay, so we don't have anything there on that. So, all right,
But we'll agree Zelensky's a liability if he's doing this kind of crazy stuff. He's trying to telegraph an assassination.
Well, yeah,
might have to get rid of
it is an issue. Trump in a coffin is wishful thinking. That coffin image is from the Illuminati cards. So is it toxically masculine TMT or TNT? I don't.
Well, we shouldn't make an assumption that it's Zelensky. It could be Victoria Nuland.
Yeah. Right.
Well, but they're in bed together, and try not to picture how gross that would be.
Ew.
Okay, let's do Simpsons, Trump, death.
Is this an old Simpsons episode, or is they still making that show?
Don't know. Simpsons predicts Donald Trump's death on April 12th, 2025. Another eerie forecast. Okay, definitely something there, but
that's the one right there. End of an era.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, I see the picture, but the images of Donald Trump laying in a coffin never appeared on The Simpsons. All the images are doctored. Okay. Well, that makes sense, I guess. So, all right, there we are. That one apparently is not correct. So, in addition to the situation, in Moscow with the assassination attempt on Putin, the New York Times has published an investigation showing that there's U.S. military boots on the ground in Ukraine, and there's a CIA operation to target Russian Federation with drones and missiles. This is from today. It says, despite our already outlining these details, the New York Times is now confirming, do not overlook the geopolitical consequences that will surface as a result of their publication. The New York Times published 2 articles revealing that U.S. military boots are on the ground in Ukraine, and the U.S. military is actively involved in ongoing targeting of strikes into Russia. The CIA is operating in Ukraine and conducting targeted strikes into the Russian Federation. This is a long article. It basically says that Biden and Nuland and the entire CIA cabal set this operation up quite a while ago, and it is still ongoing in Ukraine. Brooks, what do you know about that, and what do you think about that?
Well, I have lots of thoughts about it. Yes, that operation's been going on for a long time. It's very well funded. In fact, that's how a lot of the money is getting out of Ukraine into the hands of Democrats. It's, I don't know, it's maybe the one place Doge can't go. And it worries me. It greatly worries me because I think the attempts are going to get worse. They're going to become more frequent. And I am not encouraged because I thought Trump would really get control of this conflict between Ukraine and Russia, that they would stop playing this NATO game. But that hasn't happened. Trump has not gotten a hold of that situation. He lashed out at Putin this week. He lashed out at Zelensky this week. And I realize a lot of that's a ploy, a lot of that's trolling, but they're used to it. They're both used to it. And, you know, I don't know if it's going to get close together. I mean, they've been fighting for 60 years. It's going to be very difficult to end it in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Blake, what do you think about this story? If this is true, shouldn't heads roll at CIA and in the U.S. military? I mean, if this is true, I've got to think Trump didn't authorize this, and he needs to deauthorize it right away. Why is nobody asking that question?
Yeah, I wish people would start questioning what's going on with this because it's CIA, meddling and corrupt elements of Ukraine and running that coup just to get their people in power there anyway and keep poking the Russian bear all these years. And now they can't give up. They can't let Trump win or Putin get some of the land. They don't know how to get out of it, and they're just going to keep playing games until they can't. And I don't know how long that's going to continue. So yeah, they can't let Trump go in and make peace in 24 hours, what have you. So I guess it's plan B. But yeah, with Newland and Zelensky and all the other terrible power players, yeah, it's could drag on for longer than we thought, unfortunately.
Yeah, because the CIA has a lot invested in this. They killed a lot of people in Ukraine
Yeah.
to get that coup. They tried to kill Viktor Yanukovych, the duly elected president of Ukraine. They didn't. He escaped to Moscow through Crimea. He's Crimean. But they have a lot invested in the death of people in Ukraine and tens of thousands of Russians, and they just don't want to give it up. The CIA is all over that operation. And I don't know if Ratcliffe is even going to find out about it, even though he's there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the attempted escalation with blowing up one of Putin's limousines is pretty straightforward stuff.
Yeah, you bet it is.
And Trump, I think, can relate after what's happened with the Butler investigation. Remnant TJ7 says that video is old, and it is. I just went and looked. You're right. I should have even noticed that. Somebody's trying to pass this off as today, but the video is from May of 2023, so it is.
Oh wow!
Not concurrent. That was something that happened earlier today. So President Putin was not present at the time of that attack. Yeah, so that's interesting stuff. So. All right, guys, other things that are going on in the news that are kind of interesting. Guess what? A Obama appointed federal judge, this shit right here, pile of shit right here, ruled that Judge Edward Chen in California just blocked the Trump administration from canceling legal status for 350,000 Venezuelans, saying the decision appeared motivated in racial discrimination by Trump and Kristi Noem. Chen, of course, was appointed by Barack Obama. Once again, what I'm going to go to, Blake, and I'm going to start with you, is no federal judge has the authority to do that. And certainly not on any flimsy, ridiculous charge of racism. They're here illegally. They can't be in the country. And what do you think about these kinds of rulings? And there was a meme this week. Trump decides to come back as an even more, give up the presidency and become an even more powerful U.S. district judge to enact his changes. It was a great meme. I'll go find it while you're talking.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That guy should be impeached. They're trying to set this new precedent and new powers for the federal judges. I guess they're the most powerful entities in the country now. So that is wild. So yeah, it's just temporary obstacles, hopefully, and they'll just brush them out of the way because this is even getting more bizarre.
Yeah. I think it was Stephen Miller, who was Trump's deputy chief of staff. I'm not sure why he wasn't just made chief of staff because he's a great political operative from my perspective. But he said there are 977 judges on the federal bench. In order, all of whom have jurisdiction over small districts. In order for Donald Trump to get anything through, he has to clear all 977 of those judges. And that does not represent democracy. It does not represent checks and balances. It represents a judicial oligarchy. And it's funny, all the stuff about oligarchy that we hear from the Democrats, yet it's the judges who are trying to make themselves into the most powerful entities in the government. Blake, I want to ask you first, and I keep asking this every week, should Trump just be ignoring these rulings and just telling these judges, I'm ignoring your ruling, and if you try to enforce it, I'll have you arrested. Shouldn't he just say that? I mean, what's the issue here? What would you do if you were in his shoes?
Man, that is a tough one. So you have to plan that very carefully with all of his advisors like Stephen Miller and plan an attack and get some like Tom Fitton and all of the legal people and, put together some kind of a press conference and maybe just address all of the reasons why you're going to ignore these ridiculous orders. And if you can make a very concise argument for the people, they'll get on their side, I hope, and support it. So I think that would be the strategy before he goes scorched earth, but we can't rule that out either if they keep obstructing with everything.
Yeah, I'm ready for scorched earth myself. Brooks, what do you think about this latest ruling? And what should the president be doing about this?
Well, the latest ruling is par for the course. We didn't have universal injunctions before 1962. Barack Obama's had 12. I think Bush had 6. I think Trump had 64 in his first term, and he's had 30, and he hasn't even been in 100 days yet. Mm-hmm. So you have to be careful, because what happens if we get another Obama as president, and then you want the judges to step in and stop an Obama? Trump did appoint over 300 federal judges. So there's, I believe, 674 Democrat judges in. There are about 306 Republican judges in. So what's happening this week is Devin Nunes is getting ready to put a bill to the floor. It's very simple, only 2-page bill, and it is called the No Rogue Rulings Act. And it basically will end universal injunctions by judges. It has to be done very carefully, because you still want to have the judiciary to be able to step in and stop a rogue president, that's trying to rip the country apart. So, but I believe it can be done. It can be put in place. For now, what Trump's lawyers are doing is they're beating these judges and their injunctions in court. And they had 2 major wins this week already. They expect all the others to win as well. It just slows stuff down. Trump hasn't even served 100 days yet. He's already done more than the last president, Virtual Joe and his gang of criminals during his entire 4 years. So, but he's doing it largely through executive orders. It's time for Johnson and the Republican majority of Congress to step forward and start making laws to make this impossible for anybody to take it apart.
Yeah, but aren't they still all on vacation? Isn't Congress still on vacation?
I mean, truth be told, they only work 12 days a month. And so I'm a little pissed off at that. So,
yeah. What recourse do we have with these regarding these corrupt judges? I think they should be disbarred immediately. That would be one thing. I would say arrest them all, throw them into prison, and say, we can't decide which ones of you are corrupt or not. So we're going to have Doge investigate your entire lives, and we're just going to hold you here in the cooler for another 6 months while we do those investigations. And meanwhile, we're going to shut down your courts. We're going to literally empty them out, sell them off, get rid of the property. That's what I'd do if I was Trump. But hey, I'm a little more of a scorched earth guy. Another alternative would be that you could simply say, as far as we're concerned, we know, these decisions about the judges' powers, there's already been decisions, there's already precedent. We know how everything's going to rule. We know we're going to win on all these. So we're just going to ignore you. And we're going to continue the operations regardless of what you say until the Supreme Court rules on each and every one of these.
I think it's a dangerous precedent to ignore them, because that's what ALC wanted Biden to do.
What Biden did.
He did, but there's another ploy, and that is Congress created the district court, and they could just uncreate it or defund it, and it goes away.
Right, but again, you do that, you're counting on Congress to do something,
exactly.
And you have an extremely small majority. They just had to pull Elise Stefanik from the UN ambassador because she hadn't been confirmed yet, and they need the votes to get a couple of votes through because they sat on their hands and let dozens of House seats and at least 4 Senate seats get stolen in the last election. And if they had prosecuted those or challenged them all in court and won them, guess what? They wouldn't have this problem. They'd have the kind of majorities that the American people actually gave
And tomorrow there's an election in Wisconsin that will decide whether we have Republican congressmen in Wisconsin anymore, because the Supreme Court in Wisconsin is elected, not appointed. So the Republican that's running, I say Republican, I think his name is Schimmel. If he wins, everything's okay. But if the radical, crazy woman wins, she's going to redistrict Wisconsin, and there won't be any Republican congressman.
Yeah, and we have to first of all say Republican does not mean MAGA, doesn't mean Make America Great Again. So this guy may be a Trojan horse or a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's got to be better than the other woman, and it all does come down to what will the rulings be. And I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, somehow we're not that enthusiastic about coming out for this guy. I can't believe the same people who went to the polls with incredible enthusiasm in November are not willing to go to the polls for this guy, given the stakes in their own state of Wisconsin. I don't believe that's going to be the problem. I think the problem is, can you beat the cheat? Can you beat how bad they are going to try to fix this? Because they're going to try to make Wisconsin a permanent blue state, only though clearly I think it's been red in the last two elections.
Well, that's why Elon Musk went there and made a presentation, and it went well. And Trump has endorsed him, and they're doing regular campaign spots for him. So hopefully he wins.
I think that that was an interesting thing too, Blake. What do you think about that? Elon basically saying, if you come to this rally, I'm going to give out 2 $1 million prizes to somebody who comes to this rally. So what do you think about that idea? People, they tried to challenge it as an electioneering or something to that effect, and it failed in the Wisconsin courts. So that there's nothing against him doing that. He's not paying somebody to vote a certain way. He's just paying somebody like a raffle ticket to show up, right?
Yeah, that was a great incentive, and it's a big cause, so they want to draw attention to it. And I know Scott Presler they sent out there. They've got a big challenge over there. I think they're pretty overwhelmed. They got to get a lot of the voters out there and get people to understand what's going on and how important it is, and get the vote out. So it's all hands on deck with some big players. So good luck to them.
I think if the election is fair, the more conservative guy will win, and Wisconsin will still be a swing state for a while longer until it goes deeply red. But without major election reform, which I just do not see that much of happening, these things are not going to stick, and we need them to stick because, like Brooke said, we can't just be back here in 4 more years with another Joe Biden, with another fake unelected president because they stole it. And because the Republicans nominated some simp who's not going to fight. So, it's an edgy political thing. Speaking of edgy political things, Attorney General Pam Blondie, is that her name? Blondie? Pam Blondie? Announces that another Tesla terrorist has been arrested. Let's listen to Pam.
I've made it clear, if you take part in the wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, we will find you, arrest you, and put you behind bars. Today, I'm proud to announce that the Department of Justice has unsealed federal charges against another Tesla attacker. We've charged Cooper Frederick in the firebombing of a Tesla dealership that occurred on March 7th in Loveland, Colorado. All of these cases are a serious threat to public safety. Therefore, there will be no negotiating. We are seeking 20 years in prison. The crime was committed in Colorado, and thanks to the great investigative work by the FBI, the defendant was arrested in Plano, Texas. Let this be a warning. You can run, but you cannot hide. Justice is coming.
Right on.
Yeah,
I've made it clear.
That's really awesome, Pam. And I'm really glad you're doing that. What I'd like to know, however, is when are you going to arrest somebody involved on Epstein Island? Because that's really what we all want to see. But TV's Blake Wally, isn't this, first of all, I don't believe in hate crimes. There's no such thing as a hate crime. And the Supreme Court ruling about hate crimes should be overturned by a new court, because a crime is a crime. If you commit some sort of felony or assault, you've committed assault. hate crime is like, it's thought police. We allowed this thought police idea to get in there. And of course, this is one of the reasons why George W. Bush was such a terrible president, is he didn't really fight this at all. He should have led and said, there's no such thing as a hate crime. A crime is a crime. If you commit this act, it's criminal. You're going to go to jail for it. Having said that, if this doesn't fall under the category of a hate crime, what does? How is this any different than if properties commonly owned by Jews, synagogues, what if were attacked? I mean, isn't really attacking Tesla and Tesla dealerships the same thing as attacking a synagogue or a mosque or something like that? Which, by the way, I'm in favor of.
Perhaps that's open to interpretation. Some people are accusing them of hate crimes because they're like, carving swastikas in people's Teslas, and they're probably liberal Karens that listen to NPR. These people are so stupid. I think they're attacking Musk. It's ridiculous. And some of them are like prominent people that, like, business owners that should know better. And it's amazing they're doing that. But they need to really, make an example, of course, of the people that are like firebombing. So that whether there's Las Vegas or the Colorado ones, they need to come down hard, because, the conservatives, the MAGA, they, stopped buying beer for a couple of weeks. And the left has taken it to a whole new level, firebombing dealerships, putting lives in danger. And that has to stop. And if they have to make an example out of it, they go for it. And it's also funny that, all these Tesla cars, they have all these cameras on it. Who knew? But now they're recognized. So she's absolutely right. They can run, but they can't hide, and they will be found. So it's just a matter of what they want to do with them. And if they're going to do it federal or state, I don't know, or hate crimes, I don't know, but somebody's got to get in trouble for this.
Yeah, Blake, they are catching them. They are prosecuting them. Whether any of them go to jail or not is going to depend on whether they get one of the Trump-hating federal judges. But is this not just sort of a modern-day hate crime under the definition of the shitty statutes that the Supreme Court should have rejected 15 years ago?
Well, it's more than a hate crime. It is organized crime. And what they really should be doing is they should be bringing Bernie Sanders and AOC up on charges. They're the ones that started this Tesla takedown movement. They're the ones that are giving the orders to their Democrat soldiers. You can put the soldiers in prison all day long. And by the way, don't think about it, because if you're arrested and you're convicted, you're going to not only go to jail, you're going to lose your home, you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your wife and kids probably, because you're going to be in prison for a while. And when you get out, you're going to be an ex-con with no passport and no job. So think about what you're doing, assholes. Don't follow the orders of Bernie Sanders and AOC. They're not going to serve any time. They're making money off your ass. That's what they're doing. And they're laughing at you.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I mean, do you guys really, really think that this lady right here is going to come bail you out? I mean, she's not. She doesn't care about what happens to you. She's just hanging out in Miami Beach in her swastikini and having a great time.
They're raising a lot of money off of this, a lot. Bernie Sanders and AOC are leading all the Democrats in fundraising off of the Tesla takedown, and you're the one paying the price.
Well, the thing is, too, I don't think that matters to them because they're so blinded and nuts. But I think it is. I don't know. I think it's definitely important to do something about it. All right, we're gonna move on to a cultural thing. There is some sort of rapper girl. What's her name? A social media influencer wants companies to make larger car seats to be more inclusive to plus size women like her.
So.
Check this out.
I can't believe everything's getting smaller these days. Today I saw the car of my dreams, a McLaren. So I decided I was gonna give it a test drive. I am so tired of spending money on Uber XL that I really wanted to buy my first car. It was love at first sight, but I think it wasn't mutual. This beautiful car broke my heart because whoever designed it doesn't have in mind a big girl driving it. The seats were too small and it was too difficult to get in. Who designed this? I tried to close the door, and as you can see, it cannot close correctly. How can a big girl like me drive this? It's 2025. All brands should be more inclusive to plus-size girls like me. And I won't lose my course because some people don't like big girls, okay? What type of car would you get if you were me? I can't
She needs
believe...
a truck with a
Okay,
bench
I
seat.
just gotta
Yeah.
say that is the most ridiculous ass I have ever seen in my
Wow.
life. That can't be real. It has to be manufactured, right? I mean, am I
I
crazy?
just have
or
one question.
what do you think? You think she's being
I don't want to
discriminated?
know how they fit in a car. I want to know, how do they wipe their ass?
Oh my god!
Oh,
Oh my god! I don't. The mechanics of that. The mechanics of that. Laura says that ass is no ass that big is real. Why? Yeah. I mean, literally. This brings up an issue though, because there was a woman who was recently got into some trouble on an airliner because she was in the middle seat between two gigantic fat people. And shouldn't the airline be required? What do you think, Blake? First of all, I want you to comment on this video, but shouldn't an airline be required to allow a person stuck in a middle seat between two gigantors to like move to another row or another seat? Shouldn't they make room for that person so they don't have to sit there? What do you think?
No, that's insane that we got to move everything around our society to, accommodate a few people. And yeah, I don't believe that is real. And it's strange. I've never heard of her. Beautiful face, but that figure is just impossible. I can't understand that. But it's ridiculous. I can't really feel sorry for her either. She's driving a McLaren. And why is she driving a McLaren? How many people are actually like funding that? So it's just idiocracy to the extreme that she could actually have the power to be a social media influencer, and that she's got that much money out of it. I don't understand this culture anymore. So I'm a little bit lost on that. And for her to just see things are too small, like it's mind blowing to me. So I don't know what else to say about that, but that is frightening stuff.
Yeah, what's happened to our culture is that it's time for the asteroid.
Yeah.
Hi, Laura. We had to do. I put announcements on Telegram and Twitter. We had to do it tonight because tomorrow night I'm going out with a friend here in Vegas. It's Vegas. So, Brooks, your thoughts on that gigantic booty and whether we should be accommodating these people? I mean, look, I saw the first of the 2006 Las Vegas car show. I forget what it was, auto show. I think it was the first McLaren at the time. It was like $1 million back then. And the driver's seat was in the middle. And it was reasonably wide. And then there were two bitch seats next to it. And believe me, those seats were made for skinny little girls because that's who's going to be sitting in those seats. That girl wouldn't have fit in all three of the seats inside that initial McLaren. So, is it just gotten insane? And also, like Blake says, isn't it insane that she has enough money to even look at a McLaren?
I don't know. I mean, she needs to drive a pickup truck with a bench seat. But then she's going to have block and tackle to get up in it. So I don't know. I don't think we should make accommodations for that. I think people like that just have to ride in the back seat of an Uber.
Yeah. Christine Packer's making the argument a prosthetic doesn't jiggle like that.
Oh, yes, it does.
She probably had fat
Yeah,
injections.
no, the real thing jiggles like that. Yeah, she's right. That's a real ass.
And there is no greater booty expert on this show, on this network than Dr. So we can tell you that for a fact. All right. Other issues, things that came up, which is hang on a minute. I'm gonna do something. Marine Le Pen was effectively knocked out of the French presidential race today because she was declared guilty of a crime that they sort of made up. And I'm trying to find a good interview with her because she was found guilty on just absolutely ridiculous charges. Let me look for this. I thought I had it here. Where is it? No, I don't have a good interview with her. But so the bottom line is, in France, they did the same thing they did to Bolsonaro in Brazil. They tried to do to Miele. They tried to do to Donald Trump. They continue to try to do these things. She's obviously not a criminal. She's simply an opposition leader. What do we think about Marine Le Pen being banned from the French election, at least for the moment. And isn't it almost time for the military everywhere to step in and remove these corrupt governments all over the world, Brooks?
Well, it's hard to tell. She was arrested for embezzlement. Evidently, she took state funds and she paid off some expenses and paid some friends. But I mean, Congress does that all the time. Every politician does it. So in a way, this is still political targeting. Macron took his most formidable political opponent and put her in prison, and then banned her from running for election for 5 years. So, then he did his little Napoleon walk around, which is just ridiculous. It's insane. So France is lost. Their whole political system, their parliament is upside down. I don't think they can recover from it. And I don't know what Marine Le Pen's going to do. I don't know what French people are going to do.
Yeah. Blake, what are your thoughts on what's going on in France, and how is it any different than what they attempted to do here in the U.S.? I guess the difference is nobody's tried to kill Marine Le Pen yet that we know of, right?
Yeah, definitely. They're pulling off the lawfare stuff, or the lawfare in France. And they tried to do the same thing with Trump, or saying that he was part of an insurrection, so they got to take him off the ballot, and that didn't work. So they tried to get him on so many other different things, and when that didn't work, they tried to blow his head off in Pennsylvania. So yeah, they're doing the same. The globalists got the memo. They're freaking out because they tried to take down Trump. They were unable to, and he still won, defied all the odds. And they don't want to see a new wave of nationalism hit Europe. So they're going to try to do the same playbook, but they can get away with a lot more there in France. And we'll see if the people are going to put up with that. But expect more of that as they start freaking out about the new populists that may emerge in any other country.
Well, they're emerging everywhere, and it's a global phenomenon. And again, I call it the global sovereignty movement, where every nation wants their own identity and wants their original identity back. The French want to be French, British want to be British, the Indonesians want to be Indonesian, and it's a consciousness thing that's being affected by physics and many other factors, and it can't really be stopped. But they are trying to slow it down, and unfortunately, they're succeeding to a certain point until somebody steps in, until some military power worldwide steps in and exposes the fraud behind all of this. I don't know what's going to change. I don't know how they're going to do this. And, again, I think we're facing a reality in Wisconsin, which is now a pretty solidly red state. If they miraculously vote for a wild-eyed liberal and nutbag judge, on Tuesday, it's going to be fake. So what would you say, either one of you, call this a war? What's our percentage of winning at this point? Are we at 65%, 75%, 80%? Do they still have enough strength to fight back, or what? What do you think? What do you think, Brooks?
I don't know. I mean, it's a war. It's a war between the global syndicate and the people, and it's been ongoing for hundreds of years, thousands of years. And you're right. It is all based in consciousness. This group has ruled the world for thousands of years, except for the 250 years that, America's been around. They've done a pretty good job of taking over this country. And once they take this country down, there won't be any freedom or liberty on the earth for, I don't know, many generations. So I don't know. I don't think we can win. I think we just have to fight it. It's just the way it is with the human race.
Rich, no, we're not doing Tuesday's Toxically Masculine show because I have something to do tomorrow. I got a party to go to here in Vegas. And that's where Steve Doran is. Steve can make it on Tuesdays, but he's a busy guy. He couldn't make it on Monday. Although I think he would have had an opinion on that booty. and we'll have to save that and bring it back next week and get his opinion on that booty. Blake, what would you say? Where are we at in this war? Is it 1942? Is it 1943? Or is it 1944 or 1945? Do we have the enemy on the ropes, or is it there's still a lot of slugging it out?
Yeah, I think there's got to be a lot of internal slugging. I'm not sure who's, running some of these. You got the CIA who's potentially rogue, and I don't know what the generals or where the troops' loyalties lie. Yeah, we kind of thought this for a while, that if Trump could get in control of the military again, and we could fix our own problems here, and then we could start liberating like Canada or Australia, and that would be the ideal scenario. We could be the good guys on the world stage again and help that, or we could go to France and figure out what's going on there, because that seems like almost like a hostile takeover, kind of third world shenanigans where we could intervene and be the good guys again. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do, unfortunately. So once they start making arrests, if that ever happens, I'll start to get my hopes up. But for now, it's going to drag out for a while.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, one last story that I thought was kind of interesting. It happened yesterday. Anna Paulina Luna, the hottest ex-stripper congresswoman in Congress, went on the Jesse Waters. There are arguments that she is. Went on the Jesse Waters show last night and talked about the Kennedy assassination committee and what they were going to do. Let's listen. And God, it just makes me scream to the high heavens. But let's listen to what she had to say yesterday on Jesse Waters' show.
People, it was made aware to me this evening that NBC actually has a video that's never been seen before. We're actually going to be sending a letter requesting that from NBC, because it allegedly shows Oswald near the vehicle when the assassination took place, which means that he couldn't have been the shooter. So again, we're tracking down all this information. But look, there's even a CIA document that came out that Mr. Morley pointed out that actually said that the CIA never bought the lone gunman theory. And so I think the American people had an inclination as to what we were saying, but we never had the hard evidence until now. And so it's important to note that in a free and fair society, how could you operate or have an agency operating in the shadows? And so kudos to President Trump, also Director Radcliffe and Tulsi Gabbard for pushing for this transparency. It is going to be generational changing that they've done this, and we hope to bring forward legislation to ensure that this never happens again for future generations to come.
You're saying NBC has been keeping this tape of Oswald under wraps?
Correct. In fact, Director Stone actually told us that he was showed this tape, that it was a secondary copy, and that he said that this could blow open the entire JFK investigation. What I will also tell you, though, Jesse, is he said that NBC has been very, very much so guarding this tape. And so I believe that that tape belongs to the American people. We are going to be sending a letter asking for that tape. And I would encourage everyone to ask NBC to release that tape to the public. It's important, not just for our investigations, but so the American people know the truth as to what happened with John F. Kennedy.
All right. Well, I think they will release it, because I believe the president will probably put it on Truth Social pretty soon. All right, Congresswoman Anna Paulina
well,
Luna.
hopefully Fox promotes it. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Oliver Stone is an idiot. Okay. His movie JFK has so many things wrong, I can barely count them. I am not the world's foremost expert on the Kennedy assassination, but I know a lot about it, and I know enough about it to know a lot of stuff that is very stupid and very wrong. So if he's going to be testifying in front of this committee, he's going to tell them a whole bunch of stupid shit, which is wrong. As to this NBC video, I'm 99.99999% sure I know exactly what it's going to show. And what it's going to show is what I tried to post on this thread, which is it's showing a man in the doorway of the Texas School Book Depository that clown fuckhead Oliver Stone and others have claimed for years is Lee Harvey Oswald. It is in fact not Lee Harvey Oswald. It is a Texas School Book Depository employee named Billy Lovelady, who actually told the Warren Commission and the House Committee on Assassinations that was me standing in the doorway. There's also an ABC program called The Trial of Lee Harvey Oswald from the mid-'80s. It starred Jerry Spence, who was the best criminal defense attorney in the world at that time, and Vincent Bugliosi, who prosecuted Charles Manson, and they put Lee Harvey Oswald on trial. And there were two other Texas School Book Depository employees who said they were standing right there with Billy Lovelady when the president's limousine went by. It is not Lee Harvey Oswald. And so the concern that I have about this, gentlemen, and here is the actual source picture. The concern that I have about this is, first of all, the most incriminating thing in this picture is if you look, the president's already been hit. That's his fists clenching from the shot that went through him. Governor Connolly's already been hit. Nobody is really aware what's going on. These two guys, these Secret Service guys, are kind of like, was that a shot I heard? But LBJ is supposed to be sitting right next to Lady Bird in the limousine, two cars back from the president, and he's already ducking. So LBJ knew what was going on. I guarantee you, when we see this footage, and I would like to see it, it's going to be Billy Lovelady standing in the Texas School Book Depository doorway. What concerns me about this now is that if you have guys like Oliver Stone who don't get their facts right, don't go into detail, and it's based on Jim Marr's book Crossfire, which I knew Jim Marr's, died in like about 2015. I loved the guy. I loved having a beer with him. He was a great guy, but at least half of the stuff in that book was just wrong. It was just flat wrong. And I can show you what was wrong about it. Not to trash Jim because he was a great researcher, because half of it was right. But here's the problem. If Oliver Stone is going to testify in front of this committee, if stuff like this is going to be introduced and they're going to tell people, well, this is Lee Harvey Oswald, here he is, or, on the one hand, it will push forward the narrative that there was another shooter, which is good because it could lead to more investigations. But if it's full of this stupid shit, Blake, if it's full of this kind of stupid shit that's easy to debunk, like there's George Herbert Walker Bush standing in front of the Texas School Book Depository. Oh no, here's another picture. It's Dallas Police Detective Ira Trantham, not George Herbert Walker Bush. If this kind of shit is what gets put out, then we're just going to have another whitewash, because unfortunately the committee members don't know enough of the history and aren't smart enough to understand when they're being bullshitted by people, or when the people they're talking to simply don't know what they're talking about. Am I wrong? Brooks, you look like you want to talk.
No, you're not.
I'm
surprised that she made this kind of statement on Jesse Waters. I watched his face very clearly a couple times when she said this. It didn't move. He didn't blink. His mouth didn't change. Nothing. He knows what you know.
Nope. Yeah. Well, I hope so, because I did tweet to him, look, dude, this isn't isn't Lee Harvey
Jesse
Oswald, and you had me on my show before. The thing is, this is one of those situations where you need a $25,000 a month publicist to get you on a show, and it's like I'd give anything to get on there.
You could call Jesse and you could say, don't step in this. Let me give you this information before you make a fool of yourself.
Well, okay, maybe I'll talk to somebody that might know Jesse Waters and get an email to him. But again, you don't know who's going to read it. A staffer's going to read it, or if they're going to take it seriously. So, Blake, this is just an example of a myth. It's like there's so many myths about 9/11. Things that are, what about this? What about building number 7 falling in its own foot? And all this stuff that's just simply not true, that's accepted by the conspiracy theorists, which is fine, because you should ask questions. But I mean, what happens if we get another investigation? We're here. We have the perfect opportunity to shine the light on what really happened that day and who was really involved. And God, what if we scuttle this opportunity again by listening to the wrong stupid people like Oliver fucking Stone? Am I taking it?
No, not at all. It's just muddying the waters. We were all excited about finally having this release, and we finally get there, and then they just dump, 67,000 documents, and then they get released some more. Oh, we found some more, but it's like they're just throwing this like 10,000 piece jigsaw puzzle out there, and we might have 9,000 of the pieces. We don't know what else is missing from it. and then they're going to try to, all these different other people trying to put the pieces together. Like nothing changed. We just got a bunch more information, but there's still no smoking gun. And somebody, there's a bunch of people that could tell you the whole JFK story in a few minutes. They could probably put it on a few pages. Here's what happened, but instead they're going to let us figure it out, but not give us all of the information that we need to put it together. Very frustrating.
There is like a frame capture, which I did myself. I didn't even know it. A film called the Marie Muchmore film, which is from the looking up at the grassy knoll from the grass in Dealey Plaza. And I just was going along. I'm like, oh, I'm going to stop it right there. And I just clicked on it. And there's one frame out of this 18 frames per second where you can see blood already spraying from the front of the president's head. You can see his hair pushed straight up because the bullet has entered the front of his skull and it hasn't come out the back yet. And so the back of the skull is perfect, which literally proves that he got shot from the front. I mean, that frame is right there in the Marie Muchmore film. It's absolutely authentic. And I enhanced it a little bit, but I've also got the unenhanced version. You can plainly see all this. And nobody is talking about it. All anybody ever talks about is the Zapruder film, which is from the wrong angle to tell where the shot came from. And I just oh my God, are we going to get through this investigation and still not have any truth? And I got to ask you guys a question. Do you think that Anna Paulina Luna is simply not schooled on this, not sharp enough to pick up on when she's being bullshitted or when she's being talking to people who don't have it right? Or do you think this is just another layer of cover up? I mean, is Trump, there's not anything in these Kennedy documents that I can see, that the new ones, that was worth withholding. So, I mean, are we facing yet another layer of cover up on this, or are we facing just,
I don't know if her zeal overtook her. She doesn't have enough life experience to know when she's being duped, but it's clear Oliver Stone pulled her trigger, and she went on Jesse uncorroborated and said, NBC has this film. She hasn't even seen it. She just doesn't know. All she knows is what Oliver told her.
I would bet that NBC does have the film, and I'm willing to bet a piece of anatomy on the left side of my body that it's a film of Billy Lovelady standing in the entrance.
Probably right.
Repository. TV's and again, I'm a believer in conspiracies. I'm a believer in aliens and UFOs, but I also am not going to say this is Calvine UFO is another prime example. A guy named the Angry Astronaut put out a video. Oh, the best UFO photo ever taken. It's like, Jesus, it's the top of Farragon Hill, a mountain in Scotland with an inversion layer, fog, clouds. It looks like a diamond shape with these guys took a picture of a Harrier jet. They saw the mountain in the background. They said, hey, it looks like it's chasing a UFO. Let's turn this into the local tabloid and make 15 grand off of it. Anyway, Blake, I go on and on. Do you think is this investigation going to muddy the waters, or is it going to make everything clearer about what really happened with President?
No, I'm going to say muddy, and I really appreciate what Representative Luna is trying to do, trying to bring it to light. I think her intentions are pure, but yeah, as Brooke said, she's young, she's inexperienced. I don't know if she's got some background as being like an expert in any of these things, or if she was an investigative journalist or any of that. So perhaps she is being misled and doesn't know how to discern that. Where have you said if she's listening to Oliver Stone and he's getting material from Jim Mars and some of that material is wrong, then she's going to be misinformed and then they can discredit her. So it's dangerous. So they might just, that's how they're going to, get out of this. They're going to put it all on Luna's shoulders and then, oh, sorry, that's all been debunked. And now we don't know what's happened. We're back to square one again.
Well, yeah. And then it makes her look like a fool, and it makes them, look weaker, and it makes her future endeavors weaker. And her sex appeal, let's face it, she has some power. They want her on TV because she looks great. So she could be very helpful, assuming she's truly on our side. She could be a very helpful asset for those reasons alone, because she can get FaceTime on Fox News and other networks anytime she wants. And to have her go down this road where she's just going to end up reaching the wrong conclusions is just, I think, are clearly the wrong conclusions, is just really sad. All I want is to, God, Brooks, I would give anything to be able to talk to these people. Tim Burchett, Representative Burchett, if you're out there, get me some meetings. Let me come and explain things.
Let me
to
add
you.
my testimony to
It's
it too. I've seen Mike's presentation a half a dozen times. It's the best in the world. He's got the most information. It's the most well laid out. And Mike is the definitive authority in the world on this information.
High praise.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That is high praise coming from you. Unfortunately, you don't work for Congress. You should, but you don't work. Anna Paulina Luna is married. And she has a kid. AOC is single. So, Deb, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, but Paulina doesn't have the money AOC does. AOC raises huge amounts of campaign donations from all over the country.
She's making that much. Well, look, guys, she could sell the swastikini and that she's posing in and make all kinds.
She's gonna need it. That ass is about that wide now.
Now remember, we're not deporting the big booty Latinas. We are deporting that other girl that we saw earlier, but that's it. All right, gentlemen, any other issues that you thought were important that I didn't get to today? Blake, any thoughts?
The one was the Virginia. Oh, sorry. You want to bring that up, the Epstein thing? Oh, yeah, the Virginia Jeffrey, however you pronounce it, the main person from the Epstein victim list, got into a serious accident, allegedly. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah. Hit by a bus. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I will look that one up while you're talking.
It might be out of the Guardian or the Daily Mail. I can't remember. So it might be a big. She says she's only got like a 3 or 4 days to live. I guess maybe it's on her. I don't know if it's on her Instagram. I didn't dig very far into that one.
Wow.
Yeah, she's supposedly in kidney failure. They're saying so. Hillary was apparently driving.
Talk about getting thrown under the bus. Wow.
Yeah, it's not funny. Yeah, there's a picture of the driver. So yes, evidently she's in some serious problems. She needs probably a kidney.
To show Hillary driving the bus.
Yeah.
Nice. I love the AI.
The driver picture below had no comment. All right. Well, it's funny, but it's not funny because again, not much has happened in terms of Pam Blondie actually doing anything about our situation. So that's upsetting.
I had
Brooks,
one
did you have
more
another
thing, and
story?
that's the I never underestimate the entrepreneurship of the cartels. They made huge amounts of money smuggling people into this country. Now it appears that they're working to smuggle people out of the country. They're trying to smuggle them out of the country because if ICE
making money by
because if
people
ICE
out of the
catches
country.
them, they go home to their home country, which they don't want to do. It's like Haiti and these other places. They don't want to go back to Haiti. They want to go to the country of their choice. So the cartels are busy smuggling people from where they live in the suburbs across the border in Mexico without getting caught by ICE. And without, getting robbed of their money and have their kids raped and all that, fill up the minivan, get all the cartels, and get across that border so you can come back as the drywaller or the landscaper or the painter or the bricklayer that you've been for the last 10 years.
Oh, interesting stuff. Yeah, it's gonna look kind of weird on your resume though when you say, "Yeah, I was a landscaper for the last 10 years in Houston, Texas." Really? How'd you get into Houston to do that? Yeah. Where was this business? Oh, it was in San Antonio. Yeah, it was in New Mexico. So I don't know. Interesting stuff. That is kind of a big story. And then also, guys, I think Elon Musk came out and talked about the new baby, and he said, "I do not know if this baby is mine or not, but I'm perfectly willing to find out." And in terms of the mother, he said he's already given her $2 million, and he's paying her $500,000 a year until he finds out whether or not it's his baby. So it's hilarious watching liberals try to comment about Elon Musk's morals. Okay, I'm sorry, he's a dude. Hot chicks want him. That's the reality. He's a dude. He's a top 1% guy on this planet, and chicks want him. And that's the way it is. Although I would think after 11 kids or whatever it is, who does he think he is? Sean Kemp. After 11 kids, I'd probably get the big V. What about you, Brooks?
I got it after 4.
There you go. Go ahead. TV's Blake Wally, of course, is still fertile. So, all right, guys. Being hit by a car is still similar to what they did to Diana. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. Elon needs to keep it in his pants. No, he doesn't. But wearing a condom once in a while would kill you, Elon. Yeah, Deb from Sacramento says she'd do, Elon. Yeah, who wouldn't? All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for a less than Toxically Masculine Tuesday, Toxically Masculine Monday, but it was still a little bit masculine with that big booty girl. So thanks for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you. We should be back at the regular time next Tuesday. You guys have a great Monday. I will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern with Michael Jaco to talk about the LifeWave X39 healing patches. Good stuff. Let's hope that Virginia Giuffre makes it. Let's pray for her health and well-being, and hopefully she can get a kidney transplant.
And pray for XRP to the moon.
XRP to the moon.
I understand the federal government is considering, the Treasury is considering a position in XRP.
Yes, that is true. And XRP should be a lot higher than it is right now, yet it refuses to.
True.
So, all right, guys. Trina, yeah, I accidentally butt dialed Trina today on a video call. Hi, Trina, how's it going? Yes. Do I have a message from you in here, Trina? I don't know. Do I want to? Look? Oh, wow. Yours is almost as big as that girl's, Trina. Wow, thank you for that. I'm teasing you, Trina. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you later. Good night, Stuff Muffins. All right, Weezer, good night. Spread this show around, folks, if you don't mind. Send the link to other people. Put the link in your different groups on your socials, because we need a bigger audience for this roundtable, because this is an awesome roundtable, and we have an absolute blast doing it. So we'll see you guys soon. Have a good one, and peace out.